Hi buddies, I'm Miss Christie. Welcome to my kitchen for another yummy story from Bud Warner Memorial Library. Today I have a super sweet story to share with you called Ordinary Mary's Extraordinary Deeds by Emily Pearson. And then we are going to make our own great big batch of blueberry muffins. Yummy! Ordinary Mary's Extraordinary Deed by Emily Pearson, illustrations by Fumi Kusaka. Ordinary Mary was so very ordinary that you'd never guess she could change the world. This ordinary kid, she did. She changed the world. One ordinary day, skipping on her way from her ordinary school to her ordinary house, she passed a vacant lot filled with ordinary bushes growing ordinary berries. Ordinary, blue and juicy, luscious, lovely berries. Well, Ordinary Mary picked the ordinary berries and brought them in a big brown bowl to Mrs. Bishop's porch. What? Left berries in a big brown bowl on Mrs. Bishop's porch? That sneaky kid? She did. This made Mrs. Bishop very, very happy. So she baked a big batch of blueberry muffins and thought of 5 people who might have brought those beautiful berries, then secretly gave each a plate. How great! 5 people got a plate. One of those 5 was her paper boy, Billy Parker. When Billy saw his name on the note in the driveway on the plate, he quickly parked his bike and ate every crumb. Oh, yum, yum, he ate every crumb. This made him so glad that the next 5 people got their papers on the porch and not in the bushes where he often threw them. In fact, they were handed right to them. One of those 5 was Mr. Morey, who was so amazed that he smiled for 10 hours on the airplane, then said to 5 different people who had heavy bags, "Here, let me help you." He still smiled, and they did too. One of those 5 was Mario, whose cranky little boy James stopped crying when Mr. Morey played peekaboo with him until their ride came. When he waved goodbye, Mario exclaimed, "How strange that a stranger would be so kind." And the next day, when he was out shopping, once, twice, 5 times, he did something nice for 5 different people. 5 times without stopping. One of those 5 was Joseph, old and bent and gray, in front of him in line at the produce stand. When he said, "I guess I counted wrong. I don't really need these oranges." Little James reached out to him with an orange from their basket, and Mario put a coin in Joseph's hand and said, "Here, take this. The oranges are on us." As Joseph shuffled to the bus, his heart was full and his eyes were wet, and his hands did helpful things for the next 5 people he met. One of those 5 was Sahar, a college girl off to see the world, and who stopped at Joseph's shop. When her bag broke and her things fell all over the floor, she said, "Oh, what will I do?" Joseph said, "This is for you," and he gave her a new bag woven with his own hands, in red and green and purple. "Oh, thank you," she said. "It's the loveliest bag I have ever seen." When Sahar left, she felt sunny as noon and just had to shine on 5 people soon. One of those 5 was Sophia, whom she met on a boat, looking like the world might end, looking like someone without a friend. "What beautiful blue eyes you have," Sahar said, "and they're just the color of the flowers in your lovely dress." "Yes," said Sophia. "Oh, yes," said Sahar. She shed a happy tear, and when the boat trip was through, Sophia called 5 people to make them happy too. One of those 5 was Tom, her son, the doctor, who was having a very hard day. "Hi," she said. "I love you, Tom." "Well, how great to hear your voice," he sighed. "I always need my mom." Dr. Tom was so cheered up that on his next break he bought a big bunch of bright balloons for 5 young patients and handed them out right then and there. One of those 5 was Peter, a little boy who went home from the hospital that very day. Gratitude for the big bunch of bright balloons filled him and thrilled him and spilled out of him, and on the next 5 people who came his way. One of those 5 was Eric, a teenage boy whose sacks and such were too much. When one dropped on the sidewalk, Peter stopped his play and rushed right over to say, "Super Wheels to the rescue!" Well, Eric, no longer stressed, was very impressed and made a mental note that very afternoon to help 5 people and do it soon. One of those 5 people was Di, his 10-year-old sister who didn't have many friends and was painfully shy. When Eric said, "Hey sis, want to come to the park and learn how to ride my skateboard?" She looked at him wide-eyed. "Serious?" she cried. "Sure," he said, and because of her brother, Di decided maybe she could be friends to 5 others. One of those 5 was Louise, a homeless woman who lived under the trees. She could hardly believe her ears when she heard Di say, "May my brother and I buy you a hot dog and a drink at that stand over there?" Could it be true someone actually cared enough to give her food and a smiley-faced ring that was practically new? Louise was so pleased that she decided that even though she had nothing, she would find 5 others and give them something. One of those 5 was Amara, who lost her wallet in the park. Louise found it full of 5s and 10s and 20s. Oh, what she could do with all that money, but she found Amara's name and called her home, and over she came. Amara was so impressed that Louise was honest when money was something she clearly needed, that she offered her a job in her store and vowed to do something generous for 5 people or more. One of those 5 was Kate, a woman on vacation who wanted to see a show she heard was a sensation. "Oh no," she said, "it's sold out, but I'm going home tomorrow." And her face was filled with sorrow. Amara held out her ticket. "I live here," she said. "I can go any time. Take mine." Kate loved the show and was so touched that she thought buying 5 presents for 5 people back home would be really fun. And one of those 5 presents was a little heart necklace for Mary, her niece. And you should have seen her eyes light up in surprise. Mary? What? Ordinary Mary? Yes, ordinary Mary's extraordinary deed had come full circle. On its way, it had changed the lives of every person. You see, when Mrs. Bishop made muffins from Mary's blueberries, not only the paperboy Billy Parker, but the other 4 people too made 5 people smile. And those 5 did too. And after a while, in only 16 days, love was sent to every person everywhere. Just see how it went. From 1 to 5 to 25 to 125 to 625. It gets really big really fast. All the way up to 30,517,578,125. Way more people than there are in the whole world. Well, 30 billion is way more than all of the people on the planet. So after everyone had a share and everybody knew that somebody cared, there was even love left over. All right, buddies, wasn't that such a wonderful story? So now we're going to make up our blueberry muffins. If you have a stand mixer, they're really handy for this recipe, but you can also use just a hand mixer. You want to take your butter and you'll put it in your bowl. And you want to make sure that your butter's warmed up to room temperature as well. And we are going to beat it with our sugar. And get it all mixed in. And I've got a whole stick of butter for 1/2 cup and 1/4 cup of brown sugar and 1/2 cup of white sugar that I'm putting in. All right, so once your butter and sugar are all mixed together, we're going to add in our eggs. 1 and 2. Together really well. You want to add in your 1.5 tablespoon of vanilla extract. and some sour, and a half a cup of sour cream. This helps to make them really nice and moist muffins. Now we'll give it one more big mix, and then we'll start with our dry ingredients. So once you've mixed all your liquid ingredients together really good, you'll want to add in a teaspoon of baking powder and a teaspoon of baking soda and 1/4 cup of milk. Put it down and we'll mix on low with 1 3/4 cups of flour, slowly turning it in. All right, now we're ready to fold in our blueberries. I've got 2 whole cups here of blueberries. And this part you want to do with a nice soft spatula so that you don't break any of your blueberries open. All right, buddies, so I've got my oven warming up to 350 degrees, and I've taken my batter and put it into a greased muffin tin, and now I've also got a little bit of brown sugar that I'm going to sprinkle onto the top of each, and some strudel to make them extra yummy. And I have a fun little song for us to learn while you top all of your muffins with strudel. So it goes like this. Down around the corner at the bakery shop, there were 3 little muffins with some strudel on top. Along came Tiberius with a penny one day. He bought a muffin and took it away. Down around the corner at the bakery shop, there were 2 little muffins with some strudel on top. Along came Sophie with a penny one day. She bought a muffin and took it away. Down around the corner at the bakery shop, there were 1 little muffin with some strudel on top. Along came Cora with a penny one day. She bought a muffin and took it away. Down around the corner at the bakery shop, there were no muffins with strudel on top. Along came Veda with a penny one day. She said, "Oh no!" and then had to go away. Isn't that a fun little rhyme, buddies? All right, so now all of my muffins have a nice little topping of strudel. So they're all ready to go in the oven. And while they're baking, I have one more fun story to share with you. If You Give a Moose a Muffin by Laura Numeroff. If You Give a Moose a Muffin by Laura Numeroff, illustrated by Felicia Bond. If you give a moose a muffin, he'll want some jam to go with it. Oh my, a moose coming in the house. So you'll bring out some of your mother's homemade blackberry jam. When he's finished eating the muffin, he'll want another one, and another, and another. When they're all gone, he'll ask you to make more. You'll have to go to the store to get some muffin mix. He'll want to go with you. When he opens the door and feels how chilly it is, he'll ask to borrow a sweater. When he puts the sweater on, he'll notice one of the buttons is loose. He'll ask for a needle and thread. He'll start sewing. The button will remind him of the puppets his grandmother used to make. So he'll ask for some old socks. He'll make sock puppets. That's a pretty silly moose. When they're done, he'll want to put on a puppet show, a moose sock puppet and a mouse sock puppet. He'll need some cardboard and paints. This is getting to be an elaborate puppet show. Then he'll ask you to help make the scenery. When the scenery is finished, he'll get behind the couch, but his antlers will stick out. So he'll ask for something to cover them up. You'll bring him a sheet from your bed. When he sees the sheet, he'll remember he wants to be a ghost for Halloween. He'll try it on and shout, "Boo!" It'll scare him so much, he'll knock over the paints. What a mess! So he'll use the sheets to clean up the mess. Then he'll ask for some soap to wash it out. He'll probably want to hang the sheet up to dry. He'll go outside to put it on the clothesline. When he's out in the yard, he'll see your mother's blackberry bushes. Seeing the blackberries will remind him of her jam. He'll probably ask you for some. And chances are, if you give him the jam, he'll want a muffin to go with it. That is one silly moose. Buddies, these blueberry muffins sure do smell yummy. I hope you get to share them with somebody you love. Thank you for watching. I'll see you at the library.